She stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
Snoop Dogg's entire legacy, the family man, the devoted father, the hip-hop patriarch, might be built on a lie, and not just any lie. A lie so massive it could rewrite the history of one of music's most iconic dynasties. Multiple sources close to the rapper confirm that Snoop has recently obtained DNA test results proving that none of his 4 children with Shante Broadus, Cord, Cordell, Corey, and Julian, are biologically his. This isn't ordinary gossip. This is a legal time bomb, and Snoop is reportedly preparing to file for divorce with one goal: exposing the truth, no matter who it destroys.
The turmoil and the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurting her.
For nearly 3 decades, the Broadus family has stood as an untouchable institution. To fans, Snoop and Shante represented endurance in a business built on betrayals. Married since 1997, they renewed their vows in 2008 after a brief 2004 separation, projecting a love story that survived fame, temptation, and scandal. They built a family brand. Cameras followed them into their home for Snoop Dogg's fatherhood, where audiences saw a stern but loving father guiding his children with discipline and humor. Behind the camera, though, the reality appears far darker. Insiders now allege that cracks were visible long before the DNA tests. While Snoop was selling the image of the perfect husband, he was also fighting off infidelity rumors that dated back to the late 90s. In 1998, just a year after marrying Shante, he fathered a son, Julian, with another woman, Lori Helmond. At the time, the rapper publicly acknowledged the child, but close friends say that decision created a rift that never healed. Some in his circle claim Shante used that betrayal as leverage, reminding him who controlled the purse strings, the household, and eventually his career.
Well, she just a strong black woman off the tippy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What makes this story even more complicated is that Shante isn't only Snoop's wife. She is also his manager, business partner, and gatekeeper. Since officially stepping into that role in June 2021, she's overseen nearly every aspect of his empire: his entertainment ventures, beverage partnerships, and even his 2023 acquisition of Death Row Records. Publicly, Snoop credited her with his stability, saying he wouldn't be where he is without her guidance. Privately, those same contracts now look like chains. According to one member of his team, Snoop's legal advisors are examining whether her control was ever about love or about leverage. The tension reportedly exploded early this year when Suge Knight, the former Death Row Records boss and longtime Snoop rival, resurfaced online from prison with a post that many dismissed as rambling. In February 2024, Knight wrote on X that Shante had been seen taking private trips to Hawaii with another man. At the time, Snoop's representatives brushed it off as a bitter man's attempt to stir chaos. But now, with these alleged DNA findings circulating among lawyers, those words have taken on new meaning. Could that have been the first public hint of something far deeper?
The few, like if we really dig, I believe we're going to find probably 3 or 4 dudes over the years that she had long-term side piece type relationships with.
Shante herself has spent recent years cementing her own brand power. She runs Boss Lady Entertainment, manages recording and film projects, and even co-launched the Broadus Collection, products inspired by their daughter Corey's health challenges. By all appearances, she is the backbone of Snoop's personal and professional life. Yet the sudden shift in his demeanor during the past few months, especially during recent public appearances, has fueled speculation that the facade has cracked. In one NBC interview last fall, he praised her as the good to my bad. But those close to him now describe a man who feels betrayed and humiliated. If the DNA results are real, and so far no one from Snoop's official team has denied their existence, it raises questions that go far beyond family loyalty. We're talking about inheritance, business ownership, and the future of a multi-million-dollar empire. Each of Snoop's children has played a public role in expanding the Broadus brand. Cord followed in his father's musical footsteps. Cordell ventured into film and entrepreneurship. Corey pursued her own music and beauty lines. And Julian, the outlier, built a career in tech. If none are biologically his, every partnership, every endorsement built around the Broadus family could face legal review. The irony is that Snoop himself built part of his reputation on fatherhood. He often reminded audiences that he wanted to show a different kind of masculinity, one that uplifted family. In a 2015 interview, he said his relationship with his children mattered more than anything, calling it a friendship built on mentorship and respect. Now those same words echo with a strange, painful weight. Insiders claim the revelation shattered him, with one source describing his mood as controlled rage. They say he's been quietly consulting legal teams in Los Angeles since late summer, preparing to confront Shante not just as a husband, but as a business adversary.
If you look at it, they committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong.
Meanwhile, Suge Knight's accusations have reignited old ghosts from Snoop's past. Knight, who once mentored the young rapper during the Death Row era, has been using his prison-based podcast to hint that Snoop may have secrets of his own. In one segment, he implied that family betrayals were about to surface, linking them to unresolved financial tensions around Snoop's 2023 acquisition of Death Row Records. Those comments seemed insignificant then, but viewed now, they read almost like a coded warning. Could Knight have known something before the public did? It's worth remembering that Snoop and Knight's history is steeped in violence and legal chaos, from the mid-90s LA courtroom trials to years of public feuding. Yet, in a rare twist, Snoop publicly forgave his former boss in 2018, calling him a real one after years of hostility. When he repurchased Death Row, fans celebrated it as closure. Now, as these personal revelations unfold, that forgiveness may have opened a door to something more dangerous, a renewed war over reputation, ownership, and legacy. Industry observers note that Snoop's empire is unusually entangled with Shantae's management company. Contracts list her as co-executive on several ventures, meaning any legal fallout from a divorce could instantly freeze assets. Add to that the mounting allegations from Suge Knight and whispers of renewed scrutiny into Snoop's past legal cases, and the situation starts to look less like a family crisis and more like a full-blown corporate implosion.
You're going to establish yourself as a businessman. That I wasn't taught on Death Row Records. All my cars was in Suge Knight's name.
Wow.
Those legal shadows have never truly left him. From his highly publicized 1996 trial to the more recent civil cases alleging misconduct after concerts, Snoop has long balanced stardom with controversy. But insiders now say he views this betrayal as the ultimate strike, the one that turned his home, the very image of stability he built for 3 decades, into a battlefield. If the tests are genuine, one question looms over everything. Who are the real fathers of the broadest children? And how long has this secret been buried beneath the carefully curated image of hip-hop's favorite uncle? Some sources whisper about men from the industry, others about individuals connected to Shantae's business circle. No one can confirm names, but the sudden tightening of Snoop's inner circle and his decision to move out of the family mansion earlier this fall suggest a storm that's already begun behind closed doors. Every public photo now looks different. The vow renewals, the family dinners, even the recent hospital visits during Corey's health crisis. All moments of unity that in hindsight may have been built on fragile ground. For a man whose motto has always been loyalty above all, this discovery cuts deeper than any diss track or industry feud. And as he quietly assembles his legal strategy, there's one conclusion that even his closest allies can't ignore. Because here's what no one's talking about yet. This isn't just a divorce. This is a corporate coup. And Snoop Dogg is about to go to war.
Yeah. But Snoop lying is the progression of Snoop Dogg. He's the growth into the maturity and has a third eye, and he's able to speak on issues that Snoop Dogg couldn't speak on.
Snoop Dogg didn't become a global icon by backing down from a fight. And this time, he's not just fighting for his marriage, he's fighting for his name. Because if the DNA results are real, then Shantae Broaddus didn't just betray him as a wife. She betrayed him as a business partner, a mother, and the architect of his public image. Everything that made him the symbol of hip-hop's maturity, the loyalty, the family devotion, the transformation from gangster to gentleman, now hangs by a thread. What began as private heartbreak has become a corporate emergency, one that could redefine how we see one of the most influential figures in music history. Sources close to Snoop's circle say the legal strategy forming behind the scenes is unlike anything we've seen from him before. His attorneys are preparing to argue that Shantae's alleged deception wasn't only emotional, it was financial fraud. For over 2 decades, she handled his business contracts, negotiated endorsements, and managed licensing for everything from gin brands to streaming ventures. If she concealed the truth about paternity while positioning herself as the moral compass of the Broaddus family, that could legally qualify as misrepresentation. It's a bold claim, but the team believes it's the only way to protect his estate. With Snoop's empire valued in the hundreds of millions, the stakes are staggering. If he loses, Shantae could walk away with half of everything, from his music catalog to his death row holdings.
When you get to be the age that we are and you get to become as successful as we are, you have to start doing some things that matter for the future.
Behind those numbers lies something deeper: control. Shantae's management role gave her authority over his image, scheduling, and partnerships. That power became official in 2021 when she was named his full-time manager, cementing her place as the executive mind behind the brand. But insiders say that move may now be under review. If the courts determine she used her role to shield personal deception or manipulate assets, every contract she touched could come under legal scrutiny. We're talking about potential audits, rescinded deals, and years of accounting under a microscope. For an artist whose entire rebrand revolved around peace and reinvention, it's a devastating reversal. But here's where things take an even stranger turn. In early 2025, Snoop's daughter Corey gave birth prematurely at just 25 weeks after developing serious health complications. The family's public statement framed it as a miracle, a moment of unity amid struggle. Yet whispers from insiders tell a different story. They claim Corey's medical crisis may have been used as a distraction, a way to keep the public focused on sympathy rather than the growing fracture between Snoop and Shantae. During that period, Snoop quietly removed several family photos from his social media, and Shantae appeared solo at multiple events. At the time, no one connected the dots. Now, it's difficult not to wonder if the chaos within the family had already reached a breaking point. Adding more fuel to the speculation, Suge Knight, Snoop's one-time mentor turned rival, has continued dropping cryptic messages from his prison-based podcast. In February 2024, he accused Shantae of taking private vacations with another man, which most dismissed as trolling. But recently, Knight doubled down, implying that Snoop's entire rise to fame might have been choreographed from the shadows. According to his hints, Shantae wasn't merely a supportive spouse. She was a strategist who positioned herself at the center of every business move, ensuring that nothing, including scandals, ever reached the public without her approval. If those claims hold even a grain of truth, the implications are enormous. This divorce wouldn't just expose a personal betrayal. It could unravel one of hip-hop's most carefully curated legacies.
And then everybody else was trying to get it, but it was hers. She didn't want to have the LOC. So when 2023 came out,
The questions keep multiplying. How long did Shantae allegedly know the truth about the paternity tests? Did anyone else in Snoop's circle suspect? And why would a woman with her own successful business empire risk everything to maintain a family illusion? Some industry observers suggest the answer may lie in reputation management. Over the years, Shantae built her identity as a symbol of loyalty, the woman who forgave, rebuilt, and guided her husband to stability. Without that narrative, her brand loses its anchor. In that sense, keeping up appearances wasn't just about saving a marriage, it was about maintaining an empire. Meanwhile, the psychological toll on Snoop seems visible to those around him. Friends describe a man oscillating between fury and detachment, retreating from public life even as his name trends daily. We've seen him survive courtroom battles, industry rivalries, and public controversy before, but insiders insist this feels different. One source put it bluntly, "He's not angry like before, he's hurt. He trusted her with everything, even his name." For an artist whose entire persona rests on calm authority, the cracks are starting to show.
Then as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. And just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there and cleaned me up.
This unraveling also collides with the darker rumors that have stalked Snoop's career since the death row days. Suge Knight's podcast recently resurfaced long-dormant claims, hinting that some of Snoop's early success came with invisible strings attached, deals, favors, and alliances that might now resurface under scrutiny. It's impossible to confirm, but the timing feels calculated. Every episode that Knight releases seems to echo Snoop's personal chaos, almost as if the old producer can smell vulnerability. For the first time in decades, the man once untouchable in music circles appears surrounded on all sides, by legal threats, by former allies turned critics, and by an increasingly divided fan base. Those who have worked with Snoop for years describe this as the ultimate test of his persona. The laid-back, peace-preaching icon who once said he'd rather uplift than destroy is now preparing for the most aggressive battle of his life. Behind closed doors, we're told his legal advisors are combing through old contracts, joint assets, even production rights from his earliest records. The goal is simple: separate his identity from hers before the courts can merge everything into one financial pot. But doing that means exposing years of private correspondence, management decisions, and perhaps even confidential material that could drag other high-profile figures into the spotlight. And while the legal war builds, the cultural impact is already enormous. Fans who grew up watching Snoop as a model of transformation, from gang ties to mainstream stardom, are struggling to process this twist. The same man who preached family values on daytime talk shows is now facing claims that his entire household was a carefully engineered illusion. Some sympathize, seeing him as a victim of manipulation. Others wonder if he too participated in the deception by maintaining appearances for so long. It's the kind of contradiction that reshapes legacies. Because if the foundation of Snoop Dogg's empire was built on an untruth, every accolade, every image of fatherhood, every motivational speech suddenly feels different.
You know, people see the Snoop Dogg that's polished up and shined up, but they didn't see the one that was a rock, that he's seen the diamond in me.
We can't ignore how this timing intersects with wider turmoil in the entertainment world, with other moguls like Diddy facing criminal charges and long-buried scandals resurfacing across the industry. The old generation of power players is under unprecedented scrutiny. Snoop, once viewed as the exception, a survivor who avoided destruction through wisdom and humor, may now find himself swept into that same tide. The hip-hop community, already shaken by betrayals and lawsuits, is watching closely. If this story continues to unfold the way insiders predict, it could mark the collapse of an entire era built on image over reality. Every sign points toward an all-out confrontation. Shantae, who has yet to make any official statement, is reportedly assembling her own legal team. Those close to her insist she'll fight back, arguing that she built the broadest empire alongside Snoop and deserves equal recognition and compensation. If that happens, we may see one of the most public and bitter divorces in modern entertainment, one that pulls in witnesses from decades of history. Imagine former label executives, family members, and perhaps even figures like Suge Knight being subpoenaed to testify. It would turn private heartbreak into a televised reckoning.
I did 3 albums with Master P.
3 albums?
Yeah, when I left Death Row Records, I signed with No Limit Records, which was the hottest rap label in the industry.
For now, all we can do is watch as Snoop Dogg's world teeters between empire and exposure. The same man who once told the world to keep it real is now being forced to reveal just how real, or how staged, his life truly was. And one thing remains certain, this battle will not be fought quietly. Every move, every post, every court filing will be dissected by millions. Because when the king of the West Coast loses his crown at home, the whole kingdom feels the shock. So we have to ask, if the truth finally comes out, will Snoop Dogg rise again as the survivor we've always known? Or will he become another cautionary tale in a business built on illusions? Let us know what you think, because this story is far from over. Until next time, stay curious, stay watching, and remember, nothing in Hollywood is ever what it seems.